Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another Saturday Night Sci-Fi Shadow Chat. Tonight, as you know, it's the end of the month, so it's a free for all. I got with me here tonight my good buddy DM James. Sar James to you guys. We were just talking about his third favorite RPG of all time, that being Baptism of Fire. Take it away, James.
Well, I mean, it's if you're into at all Slavic culture, or if you ever wanted to play a game where you could be a Christian defender of Constantinople or a Muslim attacker of Constantinople, this game allows you to do all of that. You can also just play a straight up pagan Viking cruising up and down the Volga River, raiding and pillaging and doing whatever you want. That is an option as well. So it's got whatever you want, and I love it, you know, for that. And plus, it's going to let me use all of my Byzantine miniatures I've collected over the years, my priests and various other figures that I never thought I'd get to use.
So you
Uh,
said you're going to be running this after you're done with your vampire game?
yeah, and I have to tell you, and I mean this in the best possible way, your show's beginning music sounds like it should be played at like a club where vampires hang out.
You know what? Rick from 28 Millimeter wrote that for us a couple of years ago now, and it was actually based on a Blue Oyster Cult song that just has such amazing guitars. I could think of nobody else but Rick. I sent him a copy of the song that I wanted it to sound like, and he just freaking nailed it. I mean, it's very different, but it's you know I'm like the only person to be able to peg it as,
Oh,
oh, it's
my
that
wife's on
song,
board, Jen. Hold
and
on.
he just freaking nailed it. Um, uh, I was absolutely loving his games, but he took a hiatus from running those games, and now he's doing some other stuff. So, Rick, wherever you are out there in Kanakistan, thanks again. We will never forget this and all the other really cool things you did with us and for us over the years. Hope you're having fun in whatever games you're playing. If you ever want to come in and just shoot the shit, you know where to find us. Um, so yeah, it's a free for all Friday. Let me pull up the chat and not be such a luddite. What's up, Doc? Mercurius, RPG Exile, RPG Grandma. Long time no see, Sister Francis. How you doing? RPG Grandma and I were just in a game together this afternoon. It was a blast. OG has really got a great style, and we're playing some hardcore Gonzo West Coast style goofy gaming. Grandma, you want the link? Doc, we're curious. You guys let me know because my regular cast of characters seems to be uh, doing weekend stuff. I guess I'm assuming Justin's sleeping, and I'm not going to do anything to wake his butt up. And Raven, I don't know where she is. She's usually here, but she's been busy doing stuff. I'm not going to throw it up there, but I will send it over to you on Discord. Where is the doctor? There he is. And I'm going to. There you go, Doc. And you know what, RPG Grandma? I know you're probably busy, Grandma, but I'm going to do the same for you as well because everybody loves Grandma. I can just find you on the. Because we are not going to get suckered into putting the link where any old person can grab it. Where are you, Grandma? You know what? Maybe I just need to go further down. Sorry, folks. And I see you in there. Doc, just give me a minute. I gotta. Okay, Grandma, why are you not where you normally are? Mike. Oh, duh, because you're right there. Sorry, folks. Just bear with us. Doc, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Greetings. How goes, gentlemen?
Pretty good, pretty good. Your volume's a little low, as always, but I
See what we can do there.
have no fear. I will just crank you up to 11.
That works.
And so, how you doing this weekend?
I'm doing basically all right. Waiting to see if my car needs to be blown up, but other than that, pretty well. I
I
just my
I
very
suggest
first.
thermite myself, but that's me.
I was going to shoot it when it broke down, but it was like at my work parking lot, so I thought that might be disturbing to them.
Yeah, yeah. I have a long history of car trouble with my parents. Back in the day, it was always the starter of the alternator every single time, and always a pain in the ass.
Oh, I have lots of fun with alternators. I rip through one at least one a year, which should not be the case. But then again, it's a Ford, so
Found on the road dead. So yeah.
it will be my last Ford.
So doing any gaming this weekend?
No, I am currently without a group, but I'm working on my game, and did just launch my first inaugural YouTube video, an amazingly crappy Let's Play of Warband. So that it's out there, or will be in an hour or so.
So you writing something?
Yeah, I'm working on my second RPG.
Oh, okay. I need to see it first. Where is it?
Oh, the first one's called Ashes and Empires. It's on Drive Through.
Hold on. Let me get my handy dandy notebook, and I will write that down. Because I was thinking, for my topic for next month, I'm going to shill the hell out of. Hold on, Ashes and Empires.
Yeah. And the new one is basically a much more refined version of that, but with a new dice system. But I
Gotcha.
played that for many, many years.
I will take a look. Is it a print on demand?
Yeah, it's just a PDF right now. The new one I'm hoping to do on, oh, it's just a PDF, that one. The new one I'm hoping to do as a print on demand. Although I got to figure out how to format it, which I know you can do in MS Word, which it's currently in right now, but it's absolutely nightmarish getting it to behave. So I may have to learn another system. I have Scribus on here somewhere, although I don't think they even support that anymore. So I have to see what's out there. Something I don't have to pay for, ideally.
Hold on a second. I am going to. I'm gonna. I'll try and grab it and read it because, like I was saying, next month I want to review like almost nothing but YouTuber games out there. I'm going
Oh,
to be
cool.
doing uh, obviously Red Room because I love their stuff, and it's going to tie in with my tie in with Gamma World, and then I'm going to be reviewing Avengers Chult 3. So I'm like, well, I've already got two. I got 4 weeks in the month. Might as well see what I can do to help our friends out there in TV land, both gamers and game creators, because with all the stuff that's gone on lately, with the big companies, and what they've been doing, uh, I'm sick of it. And having read Red Room's projects and Vengers and even Josh from Total Party Skills Games, they're just as good, if not better.
Oh, there's
And,
great stuff out there. There's great stuff
know,
out
uh,
there.
I'm not going to agree or love every single thing out there, but at least I'm going to be honest. And the folks out there that know me know kind of the things, my little pet peeves, if you will. And I'll be honest. Whereas just about every other shill out there just gushes over everything. And
Yeah.
if warranted, I will sing their praises. But if I find a problem or an issue, I will be honest, because let's face it, one, honesty is the best policy. But two, if we want to play a great game, I mean, think about if we could, back in the day, get Gary's ear, get him on the phone and say, hey, man, this sucks. Can you fix it? And then they'd fix it, or at least think about it.
Oh,
We'd have a way different community.
yeah, and the stuff that's coming out by the big companies, by and large, it sucks now because it's all made by committee. They're trying to please everyone, and that just doesn't work.
Nope, nope. I mean, you gotta, to your own self be true, but it doesn't hurt to get a second opinion.
Oh,
Um,
never.
Grandma, you will absolutely love Chult. He Venger is definitely uh, channeling David A. Hargrave's funnier side. Again, turned up to 11. Cal, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like you're gonna be my Ukla. You don't mind since OG put that in where you gotta kind of take orders from me. I'll be a beneficent dictator, but a dictator nonetheless. Um, I think that's just uh, what blows. Oh, the gold dragon. Oh, yeah. You know what the gold dragon is on the player's handbook? It's so blatantly obvious to me. I was watching videos about it. All the artist did was take a picture of a lion and just extend the face and do a little bit of morphing. That's all it is, man. Dollars to donuts. That's what he did. Giant, yeah. Fairy dragon. It blows. I could take fairy dragons or leave them, uh, but they should be. You're a lonely robot. Yeah, and of course uh, they're gonna go back and readdress the Oriental Adventures and forget all the nasty crap they said.
I loved Oriental
Me
Avengers. I
too.
thought
Me
it was a
too.
great
It
game.
was one of out of the 11. I think there's 11 or 12 hardcover AD&D books. It was one of the best. I put it right up there with the Player's Handbook. You could run an endless campaign with just that one book, and the DMG, I guess.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
was one of the last D&D campaigns I actually played in. Was an
I
Oriental
I
Adventure one.
always like mixing it in, but here's the thing. I kind of have a little problem with when people try to make um, like the Oriental area just like completely um, super secluded from the rest of the world. I like the idea of the trades between the nations. Yeah, yeah, it is its own nation, if you will. But there's no reason why you can't have like Ironcaster. He doesn't think that you should have use the Oriental book unless it's the whole world's Oriental. Kind of the impression I got from him,
Yeah.
and that monks should only be Asian, kind of thing. And I'm like, uh, but you got elves and you got all these other things. Why couldn't you have monks in your European medieval fantasy sort of area, just like in Beastmaster, John Amos's character and the young prince? They were monks. They
Yeah.
were D&D monks. It's the literally the best interpretation of it on the big screen without getting all, Shaolin, but at the same time they're a martial style warrior dedicated to, physically being physically fit, of sound mind and spirit and harmony, and they were monks, and it was perfect. You don't have to, look Asian to be a monk. That's so stereotypical and so trying to, keep things in a box that it's always been in, and never opening the box up flat so that it can, spread out and, integrate with the rest of your D&D world. Uh, it just no, come on. We're not playing Earth all the time. DM James, his third favorite game being, Baptism of Fire. If you want to go that route, awesome. But if you want to go somewhere else, every other world. Did you ever read?
In Baptism of Fire, if you combine it with Silk Road, you can literally play a Shaolin monk from the Song Dynasty.
From the what dynasty?
Song
Oh,
Dynasty.
not like musical song.
There was a Chinese dynasty called the Song Dynasty.
Okay, because it sounded like you meant like a song, and I'm like, I don't remember that
It's
song.
spelled even exactly the same way.
Okay, yeah, I knew a Cindy's song once. Cute as hell.
You had the Song, then you had the Ming. But pretty much using Baptism of Fire, you can play a martial artist from China and pick which specific style of martial arts you want to be good at. Whether it's an animal style Shaolin or maybe Northern style, which would be more about kicking, or and the only time you can do critical damage with your unarmed attacks is if you are a person trained in a martial art. So just blew your mind, didn't I?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, I love Baptism of Fire because it's the Slavic part of the world. But remember, if you travel a month south, you're in Constantinople. Then if you take a hard left, guess where you're heading towards? China.
Mm-hmm.
China.
And
so, yes, you're playing in the real world. Well, guess what's in the real world? All the ancient shit. It's all there. I mean, So if you're in Constantinople on the Silk Road buying spices from a caravan of men from China, that's normal. That's not like a weird thing. That would be a normal event that happened.
Yeah, the Romans were in contact with the Chinese. They had embassies between them.
Well, I mean, Constantinople is the capital of Eastern Rome, so. And then for fun, you could cruise down to Jerusalem and see if you can't kick the Muslims out of there. I mean, that'd be cool.
If you're going to play a fantasy Earth, you might as well, take it to whatever conclusions you want. You've created a new Shadow Earth, and you might as well, do all the things that that you would like to
see. Talk over here.
Yeah, you betcha. You betcha. I just read all 4 out of 5 of the first 5 books last week. So yeah, I'm gonna.
Well, I said that in the live stream today that if you buy the books, you can play them however the hell you want to play them. Yeah. Mainly because I decided there will be no female holy men. Because according to church doctrine, there simply would not ever have been any female holy men or monks. There could be nuns, but guess what? Nuns don't adventure. They stay in their little convents.
You try telling that to RPG Grandma. Her flying nun is on one heck of an adventure.
Well, I'll tell it to her. Guess what? That's not correct Christian doctrine, and Baptism of Fire actually cares about that. Well, when I'm running it, it doesn't care about it if someone else is running it. They can do whatever they want.
Her traditional nun character, based on the flying nun, was magically transported to another world, so she kind of don't have a choice.
However, a female holy warrior could absolutely be a thing.
Like Joan of Arc.
Like Joan of Arc. You just got some woman who had, dreams that it was her job to go forth and smite the pagans, and there you go. You're on your way. And then a lot of classes don't matter. I mean, thief, scumrosny, woodsman, archer. No one gives a shit about which gender. The only one that really matters, though, is the priest, because there are specific doctrinal rules in old school Roman Catholicism and Orthodox Catholicism that specifically say females cannot be priests. Oh. Praying mantis? A boga mater. That's how you say that in Serbian. Boga mater. What happened to Doc?
I don't know.
Well, we were having storms in Florida today.
He has the link. He can come on back in. He's always
Your
welcome.
nun was from World War II, right? But so no, if RPG Grandma wanted to play and she wanted to play a religious character, she would just play a holy warrior and say that she had been motivated by God or the angels or some other thing to go forth and spread the religion in distant lands or defend, Christian towns and cities from the constantly invading pagans in the north. Because it turns out the people of Pomerania, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia are not huge fans of Christianity at all in this time period. And the Vikings across the sea, they're also not huge fans. Woman saints, there are many woman saints, but they were no woman priests. Dunkirk is a village.
Hello. Yeah, we had a little
there we are.
there.
We're wondering.
Yeah, I knew you'd be back.
But yeah, you got St. Catherine and a lot of saints.
She hit the bad wizard with her Bible.
You've got awesome. The hospital of Saint God. That was on Idiocracy. We went to the hospital. Put this one in your mouth and this one in your ear and this one in your butt. Oh, wait. No. This one goes in your mouth. This one goes in. He's just like, hit the bad man wizard. Well, there are kind of wizards in the game, but they're more like evil witches or pagan shamans that might be able to do magic. Plus, there's just folk magic, which basically people can learn. Like the whole point of the witch hunter class is as they level up, they can become better skilled warriors, or they could choose to get more involved with actual magic and alchemy. Because they might be able to make
system. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Because they might make a talisman that they wear that gives them a huge bonus versus something witches do. Or vampires do. The wrong village people. I love that a bit about BOF, you barbarians. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some, like, the 5e crowd are not going to like Baptism of Fire.
No.
They're not going to like it. It's too straight. It's too Christian. It's too... I mean, even the barbarians are just too masculine. There's no...
Even the women.
Yeah, even the women. There's no half demons that you can play.
Good.
You get to play human. That's what you get to play. Now, dwarves you can befriend, but it's not easy. You basically got to leave them honey and mead and cream and be really nice, and then they might talk to you. But otherwise, no. And gnomes in Slavic mythology are straight up bastards that just want to kill you. So better hope you don't run into any gnomes. And there are no orcs because Tolkien invented orcs.
It's amazing how different our regular tropes are compared to actual mythology. I I'm really amazed when I hear these different versions. Growing up, I delved into mythology a little bit, but when I hear the different things about elves, gnomes, and dwarves from everywhere else but games, I'm like, these guys were all bastards, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. If you look up fairy, especially the Slavic version of the fairy, they're absolute bastards. They steal your children, they drain the blood out of your children, they eat your livestock, they burn your house down, they give you bad luck until you lose everything. I mean, they're just straight up assholes. They don't like you.
So they're demons.
No, because there are actual demons, and they do even worse shit. I mean, it's Slavic mythology, so there's a million kinds of demons, as well as at least 10,000 vampires.
No, what I meant was, in the real world, they were produced by demons. The
Yeah,
mythology.
I have heard stories that the Fae come from the people who refuse to take a side
I
during the war.
suppose.
That could be total bullshit.
Yeah, that sounds like more satanic propaganda to me.
Like, but the
Also,
thing
you got to
is,
remember a lot of these are reimaginings of pre-Christian things that
right?
need to be integrated.
Well, as they would call them, the Dvargar, which is the Scandinavian name for a dwarf. If
Mm-hmm.
you do manage to encounter one, and which is very hard because they typically hide,
Okay.
and you do manage to like get a positive reaction out of it, then they turn out to be really good craftsmen. So, I mean, there is something to be
Come on,
said for
boys.
that. You could
Stop, no barkies.
you could maybe get a dwarf to make a deal with you to make you some kind of enchanted something, but most of the time they are going to hide. And like I said, gnomes are pale, skinny, little, vicious, pointy teeth bastards that just come out of the woodwork and want you dead and ate. That's what gnomes do. And of course,
No,
my
Grandma,
advice
it's
to
not.
everyone out there, and I say this as somebody who does have some Slavic blood in me and was raised by a Russian man. If you see a beautiful red-headed woman standing next to a river, pond, or lake, run at her as fast as you can
And do what?
and die, because that's what's going to happen when you get close enough. That's a Rusalka. They like to appear to be beautiful red-haired women, but they're actually the spirits of women who drowned before they could be married. And their only reason for existing is to drown people, and they especially like drowning men. On
I don't want
occasion, they will let a child go rather than drown a child.
to
And I haven't even
That
talked
sounds like a
about,
pretty standard redhead to me.
and we haven't even got into the unborn fetuses and stillbirths and what they turn into if they don't receive proper Christian burials. Yeah, that's some good stuff. The Peraniich,
It's horrific.
basically demonic vampires. Yeah,
Even
That's horrific.
even the mythologies where the Fae aren't overly hostile, even when they're fairly benevolent to people, they're generally something to avoid because they're incredibly capricious.
well, like in Lion and
There's no
Dragon,
telling
yeah.
what they want.
In Lion and Dragon, the Fae are a lot more like the Irish Celtic version. And even then, it's like, do you really want to mess with these guys? Because they are capricious and they might steal your children. And,
There's no telling how they'll react to anything.
there's no telling. They even have an evil undead creature in this thing that is the result of a woman who was too ugly to be married. So they kidnap children and replace them with little demonic changelings that do nothing but eat all day. And the only way to break the curse to get the child back is you have to take the changeling back to wherever the demon is, the undead thing, and you have to make it exchange it.
Keep your receipt.
Otherwise, you know. if you wait too long, the child will be dead and eaten. So you got to get a move on it.
I'll say, better yet, don't leave your child unattended till it can,
Yeah,
swing a sword.
right. Yep. But so there's a lot of, in Slavic mythology, there's a lot of stuff that has to do with women not getting married or not having kids or whatever. And then,
Well, a lot of it really does make sense. When you think about how people lived back then, one, how short their lives were to begin with, and,
mm,
and how hard they were, and how, kind of everybody had the same, not just ticking clock, but, biological needs and requirements in a very, very simple world compared to the way we live now.
damn, you made that sound dirty.
It was not my intention. I
I'm
thought it was being
I'm
profound.
messing. I'm
Oh,
messing.
I know. Just, but yeah, people lived very, very quick and simple lives with very, very little time for, you know, bullshit like we get to indulge ourselves in, like these, these games and these hobbies, and you know, uh, I often forget, with Jackie's family coming from Mexico, how they can't possibly, understand or relate to, seeing my hundreds of thousands of army men all over the house, and the games and things that we spend our time with, because they're too busy, trying not to die.
Right. Well, the take they have on the satyr is pretty interesting. They're fey creatures. They're pretty rare in Poland, but they do exist in the southern parts and sometimes spotted in the deep forest. They are cruel, violent. They lust for strong drink, bloodshed, and sexual aggression against human women and sometimes attractive men. So, if you're playing this game and you encounter a satyr and your character has a high charisma, it could be bad. Even if you're a dude, it could be bad.
So you would know what those angels felt like in the last moments of Sodom and Gomorrah.
I don't know. You'd know it'd be like the Norm Macdonald joke. The disrespect hurt the most. Well, no, actually, that other thing hurt the most. But then after that, it was the disrespect. That's from Dirty Work when he has to go to jail and bad things happen to him.
Norm was the best.
Yep. Like
All the
you
people that
have night hags called Noshnika who will sneak into your house and they will try to drain the life out of your children in the middle of the night. They could only be hurt by silver weapons. Leshy, Baba Yaga, of course. I mean, you got Baba Yaga. But here we are, the Nomi, also called gnomes, a race of small, evil fairy creatures. They're about half the height of a human. They always attack in groups of 2 dice 6, squat with pale skin, and their bite causes a wasting disease of a magical nature. Like if you fail your saving throw versus their bite, you'll start losing 1 point of constitution each day that you fail a saving throw, and the point does not naturally recover with rest. Cannot be cured by conventional magic, and only a miracle or magic can cure. One cure known to pagan magicians that specifically stops the effects of the disease involves creating a magic potion made with strong alcohol and powdered catfish eyes. Yeah, this guy, like, Pundit went all out on this. Like,
How do you
his,
powder a
his
catfish eye?
dry it out and then powder it with like a mortar and pestle, right?
Yeah, but I mean, how do you keep the eye from being, carted off by the ants or something like that?
that's going to be your problem.
Hmm.
Like we got the monster here called a Zamora, and it's a woman that a man promised to marry and like got her um,
In a motherly way.
honor and then refused to marry her. So she agrees with dark powers and becomes a Zamora, which is basically a shape shifting vampire. And she allows her body to become the vessel of basically like a kind of a demon or something. Which means if you try to use an exorcism on them, they get a huge bonus on the save because they actually want to be the way they are. So, yeah. My favorite one, though, in this book is the white. Mainly because any damage you take from a white, you never heal unless somebody uses magic to lift the curse on you. And if there's a white anywhere near you and you're sleeping, you don't heal any damage that night, nor do you sleep good that night because of all the nightmares the white sends into your brain.
Hey, what's up, Brian? Long time no see, buddy.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's
World War
something I
II.
just
I haven't seen
started
World War II in a while.
from the newer
Yeah,
D&D
yeah.
versions. The
You want to
monsters
pop
that
in,
have
Brian?
hidden
Say the word. I'll drop you
consequences.
the link.
So, yeah, these whites don't drain levels. They just are worse. Like every time they hit you, in addition to damage, they drain a point of strength. And if you're killed by them or your strength is reduced to 0, you die, obviously, and return as a white. And if you're struck by white, you suffer curse and your injuries will not heal unless the curse is removed through magic or miracles.
That's
It
rough.
says here that you find a lot of whites sleeping in old Kurgan burial mounds. So more towards Russia. The Kurgan. I've got something to say.
Highlander.
It's better to burn out than to fade away. Yep. And the Vikings call them Draugr. I mean, they only got 4d6 hit points, but then again, they're immune to like everything except magic items and silver. So might as well have 1,000,000 if you ain't got an item that can hurt them, right?
Yeah.
And then you've just got your standard Walking Dead, and that's just a zombie. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Created from those who are not properly buried after death or those who have died from suicide or some state of sin. They can be harmed by any metal weapon, so that's good. And if destroyed, they return to life in 10 to 40 minutes at full hit points unless they're decapitated. Yeah, I've noticed that in this book, a lot of monsters, if you beat it to 0 hit points, it'll just come back in a few hours unless you do some special thing to actually like permanently kill it. The white's that way. If you kill a white, it'll come back in 1 to 8 hours unless you incinerate its body to ashes and then sprinkle those ashes in running water.
To what RPG Grandma said, it's a lot of it is the stuff that's based on European mythology. They have contempt for those cultures, and anything outside of European culture they won't touch out of fear of offending. So I think that's a big reason of why that's the case. Why that
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
Which is so
exactly.
weird because
anymore.
Grandma.
the original Dungeons and Dragons, Dragon Magazine especially, would go and do the work, the real research, by going to real libraries, by real scholarly individuals who would go out there and look up all these mythologies from all over the place. I remember specifically the article on vampires from other places around the world. There were some crazy ass vampires besides our stereotypical.
Well, you had the Penanggalan from like East Asia.
Yep,
That's the one that pulls its head and guts out and
yep.
flies around at night. And then you got the Hungry Dead. But I mean, yeah. I mean, in Monster Manual 2, the Wemmick is an African monster, right?
Yeah.
But see, Gygax originally wanted to do an Africa book, and then he ended up getting booted out before it could happen. And then after he got booted out, they're like, hell no. I mean, they
Yeah,
put a
they caught a
scrap
lot of
book out
shit
for
over
everything
Oriental
else, though.
Adventures.
And Kevin Simbita from Palladium ended up having to pick up the torch, so to speak. Up until recently.
I smell vinegar. That's true, because they have to dip their bloody organs in vinegar so that they'll shrink up enough to fit back into their bodies. And then during the day, they appear to be beautiful women. And sometimes they can even be married, and their husband will never know they're a Penanggalan.
That would be horrific.
You could be married to this woman your whole life and never know. Because you go to bed, you're snoring away, she dislocates her head and flies out the window to go drain blood from somebody. I mean,
I remember the picture. It even back then and even now, my memory of it from I believe it was the Fiend Folio, right?
I
Or
Yeah,
think
that's
it
the
could
English one.
have been Fiend Folio or Monster Manual 2.
Yeah, I know it's one of the two, but I thought it was Fiend Folio because my memory says the art style is that style, which I didn't actually like, but it was still pretty horrific.
Well, it's okay. I did the video the other day on my channel, not a live stream, an actual video where I talk about how Europeans are being erased from their own culture because they keep making settings based on Western European culture, but they're not putting white people in them.
Sorry to hear that, Bleeker.
And it's all like, would totally drink my blood if she could get away with it. I don't know. Back when I was on the goth scene, there was some kinky ass shit going down.
That's not kinky. That's
That's fetishistic stuff anyway. The
it's
point I'm getting at is, so basically Western culture is a free for all for everyone and anyone. But if you want to do any other culture, you get side-eyed and everyone's going to attack you, right? I mean, even the pundit and Mad Scribe doing Slavic culture justice the way they did has opened them up to a lot of attacks from idiots.
yeah, but you know what? I don't know about you guys.
Not that I think
Notice-
either of them guys care, but
well, that's our best defense is not caring and going on. The more we recoil and try to appease them and kiss their arses, the more they get strength from that. We lose a little bit of our soul, but when we just laugh it off, continue about our business, that has you know the desired effect we of course want, which is to make them fume and seethe and rage and look for somebody else.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's no appeasing them. If you show any kind of weakness to them,
Yeah,
right.
it's just
The first apology is literally like opening the door of the vampire, saying, "Come on in."
they're
Dinner's
like
served.
Russian women. If you show weakness, you're getting a divorce.
It has to be met with mockery. That's
Yeah.
That's
That
all
is
you
our
can
best
do.
defense. Is
And you know what's
laugh off-
crazy is? What's crazy is if you were to go back through time and step your ass anywhere in North Africa during, say, the 9th century, what do you think you would find? I'm talking north of the Atlas Mountains. So Egypt, Libya, Morocco, all the way over to Gibraltar.
right.
I'll answer the question for you. You'd find a bunch of white people because it had been conquered by the Greeks and Macedonians. It had been conquered by the Carthaginians, who, surprise, surprise, are Levantine people. And by Levantine, that means, the region near Jerusalem. They had been conquered by the Romans. And then after the fall of Rome, they were conquered by the Visigoths, who were literally a Germanic people.
Right.
And then somewhere in that neighborhood, Eastern Rome sent Flavius Belisarius to rock that ass. And Constantinople ruled all of North Africa for a bit too. So North Africa is not Africa. North Africa is Southern Europe. And always has been. Since the first time a European in Italy could put together a boat strong enough to sail across the sea, that shit was Europe, because we were taking it. And then, of course, the Arabs rolled in about 10th century or so and rocked everyone's ass right across the top of Africa. And the Arabs are an Indo-European people, which is a fancy word of saying Caucasian. Now they're an admixture, which the Romans would call Mauritanian, but originally, I mean, people seem to forget that Muhammad had red hair.
Because that's not how they draw him. Oh, excuse me, they're not allowed to draw him.
Right. The Gauls, well, I'll tell you something,
Surprising.
RPG Grandma, the Galatians mentioned in the Bible were Celts. The Galatians were a Celtic tribe, and they were known prior to their conversion for being assholes. Like absolute assholes. Like everyone hated them. And then they eventually
Well, they were
converted.
proto-French.
Well, because they were murderous assholes. They were constantly raiding everyone and killing people and,
Oh, who wasn't?
doing all that kind of shit Celts do, you know?
Yeah, all of Europe, basically west of Germany, was Celtic at one point. And
Well,
north
because
of
they
the
migrated from what we would now call the Dravidian Valley in northern India. And they migrated all the way across Europe until they got to the end of Europe, which was Ireland. They even had a stop off for a couple hundred years at what's it called? Spain, which is why you have the Iberian Celts.
Yeah, the Irish originally came from Spain.
They did. That's
The
exactly
coastal
what
areas of Spain.
I was saying. Yeah. Yeah. It was like you're because some prince in Spain said he was standing on the top of his tower and he could see an island. So he convinced his people to sail towards it. And even though it would be impossible for him to actually have seen the island, they landed on Ireland. And whoever lived there before them, the people of the bog, the fur bog, the people of the bag or whatever, well, the Milesians were Iron Age people. And they immediately put the freaking boot to the Bronze Age people who were still living in Ireland. And that's where you get your Celts in Ireland.
I'm taking notes.
Well, they
If
came
anybody's
via
interested in really
Spain.
great quasi-historical fiction on Celtic Europe, especially Ireland, look up an author called Morgan Llewellyn. She does outstanding stuff. It's basically non-fantasy. It tries to
Tons
take
of whites in
Irish
Africa.
myths and try to like gives them like where they may have possibly come from, where the myths may have come from in a historical setting.
Right.
There's a great one called Bard, which is about the Milesians coming to Ireland. It's one of my favorite books. I've read it like 5 times.
Right. RPG Grandma's right about the Philistines. They originally came from the Hellenistic part of the world. And World War II, if North Africa is full of Borrowites, I don't want to go there ever. However, in the book, the whites they're talking about are generally found in the ancient burial mounds of the Kurgan tribes, which would mean on the steppes of what we now call Ukraine and that whole area. But yeah, I mean, the Carthaginians were migrants from the Levantine area, and they were as pale as they could be. I mean, if you ever seen a picture of Hannibal Barca, he's a white guy. You know, the one that marched from Africa all the way around Spain and did all that. Yeah. The main reason the Romans wanted them dead is they were big into child sacrifice in Carthage. And when the Roman advisors saw that shit, they're like, yeah, Carthago dialecto, Carthage must be destroyed.
That's one
So,
of the things that makes me laugh when people get all like bent out of shape about colonialism these days. There is not a people alive on this earth who weren't involved in a migration, and they were always nasty.
No problem, Cal. Enjoy your dinner, man.
yeah, he's in Cali with you, so it is about that time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, think about the boat people. No one's 100% sure exactly who the boat people are.
The sea people.
Yeah, the ones that were raiding the boat people are the ones in East Asia, aren't they?
Yeah.
The sea people, the ones that were raiding everybody, and no one's 100%. It's like they were a confederation of many, many different people that were all ganging up together to raid other people.
Yeah, they took out pretty much every civilization except Egypt.
Yeah, except Egypt. Everyone else got whacked. I get decals from Carthage must be. I get decals. Yeah, Carthage must be destroyed. Yeah, there was that. I forget his name, but the Roman senator that ended every speech with "Carthage must be destroyed." Even if he's giving a speech about we need a new sewer system over in the left end of Rome, and blah blah blah. And by the way, Carthage must be destroyed. I'll tell you what. Look up. There's a guy who does like real history on the war, the Punic Wars. In 1 year, the Romans built like 300 trireme or triremes, however you want to say it. That is insane. 300. That means they were cranking out a warship a day.
Just about.
Carthage thought that they were this great naval power, and then the Romans were like, "Hey, guess who's more industrious? We'll just make more." And then they realized that they couldn't defeat the Carthaginians at naval battle. So their idea was to turn naval battle into land battle.
Yeah, just throw some planks.
And how they did that was they had the tower with the big plank thing with the nails in it. And they just get close to a Carthaginian ship and drop that thing and anchor the enemy ship. And then the freaking legionnaires would just run across and murder the shit out of the Carthaginians, because like a Carthaginian's going to be able to defeat a freaking Roman legionnaire. You know what I mean? Get out of here. And yeah, that shit was nuts, man. If you read about the Egyptians counted the number of dead enemies, and for some reason wanted to know the data. Yeah, Egypt's weird.
Very.
I think we can all agree that Egypt is weird. Plus, the Egyptians were convinced they were a colony from somewhere else, but no one knows from where else that would be. Not space. They thought they were a colony from like another continent or something. Yeah, the sea people could have been Mycenaean. They could have been Turkic tribe, or not Turk because it wasn't Turk back then, but Cappadocians. They could have been Grecians. They could have been what's the other one? Minoans. Yeah. It could have just been anybody that got together on a boat and said, "Hey, let's go find somebody and bring their shit down."
Prehistoric Greeks, I imagine, in large part, because we don't really have any records of them back then. But they would have been highly nautical at that point. So it was likely a lot of the tribes from there.
From where?
Probably from Greece, I'm guessing. They largely.
Well, yeah. When I said the Mycenaeans, that would be the early Greeks were the Mycenaeans, and then they become the Hellenes, partly because of peoples migrating down through Thracia, the Slavs. Yeah, that's the other thing too. We're so worried about climate change. It's like in our written down history, the climate has changed drastically multiple times, and there were no cars or anything doing it.
And if you go back far enough with the ice core samples, it was happening before there were even people. So
yeah,
need to step the hell up with that.
It's like, guess what? We live on a planet that's constantly changing.
This planet has been a ball of lava and a block of ice and everywhere in between multiple
And everywhere in
times.
between. Yep. Because you had the warm period, you had the little ice age, then you had the ice age, which was awesome because it lowered the sea level by 30 feet, which meant that all the land between England and Scandinavia was above sea level and was called Doggerland. So, like England, Scandinavia, and France, and all of that were all connected. And there were people that lived there, but then eventually they had to move out because the water started to rise. And then, I mean,
Yeah, it's kind of
I was
ridiculous.
giving you guys a break.
Yeah, I'm about up to here with the whole climate change scam that's being perpetrated
Well, I'm
on.
sorry I even brought it up. I was just
No,
pointing out that
no. It's good that
climate
we remind
change is a
ourselves.
fancy way of saying weather.
I know. Well, no, I
Weather
mean
change.
it's
Yes, the
another
weather changes.
it's another scam. Uh, that benefits a few people and subjugates the rest.
Oh yeah, yeah. RPG Grandma. Can you imagine, like in a Twilight 2000 scenario? But if even further in the future, it would have to be finding the giant wall city they're building in Saudi Arabia and going in there. Oh my goodness, what a that place could be crawling full of mutants and freaking cannibals and everything and anything.
Yeah, I love the whole trope of the lost, forbidden, undiscovered city as a dungeon trope from Lovecraft to Howard. There
Yeah,
was
Howard
so
used that
many.
a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of that in the Howard stories.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It makes for
Whereas
a
when you
fantastic, dungeon to mega dungeon, depending on how you want to slice it up.
see, I'm thinking B4, I think was the name of the
Yeah, the
adventure.
Lost City. Yes.
I mean, you're wandering around through the desert and you're almost dying of dehydration and you see ahead some statues.
Lovecraft had a few as well.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if there's any
Carcosa.
gems, don't mess with them. They're all cursed.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, you got that choice between getting killed in the sandstorm or getting killed by deep ones. Take your pick. I'm going to go with the deep ones because at least there's a chance. With the sandstorm, no, and it's going to be a sucky, ignominious death.
Well, they already tell you that, like in B4, they already tell you your characters are like super dehydrated. You haven't had water in days.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, your choice is to go into the door where the dead body is because it accidentally triggered the crossbow trap and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully find something to drink before you die.
Yep.
And then everything goes to hell after that. Depending, that was like one of the first dungeons adventure modules that you could buy that really leaned into factions. Because like you could try to become like really close friends with the female warriors of Myrmidia or whatever she was called, or
Mm-hmm.
you could try to become buddies with the mage one, or the third one, or that fourth group that worshiped that freaking tentacle monster down at the bottom of the city there,
Or play them all off each other.
or
Which
play them
also
all
was
off
fun.
each other. And of course, they were all drugged and whatever. And in Greyhawk, they have the stats to play one of those people, Selenian or whatever they're called.
I don't
They
remember that.
basically don't get any bonuses. They're just 100% human, but they get low light vision out to 60 feet, and they get a penalty anytime they try to do anything in full daylight.
Reminds me a lot of oh, hey Raven,
There's
of
Raven.
of
Hello,
Red
Raven.
Nails.
Of what? Red
The
Nails?
Red Nails.
One of
Well,
my
it might have been
absolute favorite
based on
stories.
it. I mean, we already know what Gygax was reading, right?
Yeah, he was a huge, massive.
We got
Howard
Appendix
fan.
N.
Yep. and I've got the Appendix N book club meeting up again this Thursday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the dues are
Interesting.
the dues are reasonable. You get to read a one of the books from the Appendix N every 2 weeks, and then we'll discuss. This week we're going to be discussing the first of the Call the Conqueror short stories.
I
Oh,
wish
nice.
he'd written more of those. There's only a couple of them. Actually, in a lot of ways, I liked him more than Conan.
I was saying the same thing.
Yeah, you
And
guys.
I loved that every time the like Savage Sword of Conan or the Conan comic book would have a Call the Conqueror story, because it just seems something a little bit, well, a lot different. In the two characters, Conan was one way, and Cull was very different.
Hmm. Well, for,
Almost more, obviously more civilized, but also more uh, noble, maybe.
He was very good-natured. He liked people in a way that Conan absolutely did not.
yeah.
Right. Well, I think it was distrusted more than didn't like.
Well, Cole had a best friend.
Right.
Conan had friends, but they
They all,
always seem to never be around for very long.
Yeah, he
well, yeah,
had the Josie Wales curse.
Yeah, they always either went their own way or something.
yeah.
But Cole had the Pictish, the noble Pictish warrior that was always at his side. Of course, you do know that according to the writer, Conan is descended from Cole.
I don't remember
Was,
reading
was
that.
that him? I think Lynn Carter actually is the one who wrote
Yeah,
that.
Conan's actual bloodline is Atlantean.
Yeah, the Sumerians are basically the descendants of the Atlanteans.
Yeah, and would one day become the Celts. So yeah.
My appendix is in. Nice cow. Raven, what are you doing? I sent you the link hours ago, and hours and hours and hours ago.
She don't like us because we're smelly boys.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying she's wrong.
We'd be lying.
Like,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to get me to read a lot of the Appendix N books that I might not have read.
well, I've read a few of them, but not really everything, obviously.
Right. I've only read, I want to say about 11 of the different authors. The clear, obvious Jack Vance, obviously Zelazny, Howard, H.P. Lovecraft, Michael Moorcock, Fritz Lieber, and a few others. But there's a bunch more in there that, you know, might as well give them a shot and find out, what it was that Gygax and Arneson,
Here,
appreciated about their work.
Yeah, I've actually
Shadow,
never
here's
read
what's crazy. In
Christopher.
Appendix N, he just writes anything by Andre Norton. I mean, does he have any idea how many books that woman wrote? Because it's about 100.
Right. My favorite was Breed to Come, which is actually more of a Gamma World story about humanoid saber-toothed tiger people. It's freaking awesome.
Well, and she had wasn't it her that did the Darkover series?
That was Marion Zimmer Bradley.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I got them mixed up. Which
Oh,
one of them had the Down Below Station series where the human sneaks onto the cat people's starship?
that could be Andrew Norton. I honestly don't know the story at
Yeah, that
all.
was a good one. Fafford and the Grey Mouser, of course. I've read all of that.
Yeah, I
Like
did
I'm
too.
looking at it right. The Complete Chronicles of Conan. I've read that.
Yep. Oh, and Burroughs, of course.
Some of this stuff I've never even heard of though, like the Kothar series. I don't even know what that is.
Burroughs was weird. He had this strange thing where all his characters had to become immortal for some reason.
Yes, yes.
And
Edgar
for
Rice
no
Burroughs.
reason.
Carson of Venus, John Carter.
And it never comes up really, which is the weirdest thing about it. It's just kind of mentioned and then
I've read the
anyway.
Barsoom series, so I'm good there.
Carson of Venus was very, very much a love story, but so was Cave Girl. You've got to read Cave Girl, guys. It would have made back in the day. It would have made the most hilarious Disney cartoon, and even now they could get away with it because the girl, she's a cave girl, so she's she's rough and tumble and wants to go off in the bushes and do things, and the character's all Ichabod Crane. Oh, we'll have none of that until we're married. It's just freaking hysterical.
Is that Burroughs?
Yes,
Let me
it's a
write that
short 120-page book about this Bostonian college grad who's on a boat, and the boat shipwrecks. He ends up on this island, and oh, it's just it's so it blew my mind that he could write like that. I might even force the Appendix N guys to read that instead of Carter.
Are you using the modern editions to Appendix N?
Original Dungeon Master's Guide.
Okay, because apparently they added anything by Clark Ashton Smith, The Song of Ice and Fire, Silmarillion, which I did read, and let me tell you, it was like reading
It's
through a college
basically a
textbook.
Those
It's like-
names, my God, it's like he tried to put every letter of the alphabet in every name.
The Iliad and the Odyssey, though, I have read those.
Mm-hmm.
The Never-Ending Story, never read it, but I've watched the movie a lot.
Right.
Harry Potter series, why would I want to read that?
Anything that was written after Gygax's death, I think, shouldn't be in the Appendix N. It wasn't. It had no effect on the original Dungeons and Dragons. It's that simple.
Epic of Gilgamesh, I've read that, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. The Trials of Hercules would be a great one to read.
Beowulf, that's
absolutely.
The translation of Beowulf is awesome.
But some of these, I'm like, what?
Yeah, when I read Silmarillion, I had to take notes. It's like that dense.
Oh yeah.
It was hard. I couldn't make it past about page 30 or so because of the names. It was like I was like getting them confused. It was like, okay, this character's name starts with an A, so I'm just going to mentally, his name is A. And then there's another character with an 18-letter name and starts with A. I'm just like, no.
Alwi and Manwi and Taran and all the various deities and then all the other stuff.
What's up, TCG?
Eluviatar and yeah, it's like it's. I'm not gonna lie, it's a pretty dry reading, and it shouldn't be because there's all these epic battles going on and all this shit going on. But
I really liked his because I watched a video or two about it to try to get some sort of grasp. I like the way music was part of the creation of everything. The Genesis story, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Except for Melkor, who sent forth the discordant note in the song.
Well, a good thing to go with for those stories is Unfinished Tales, because Silmarillion is basically his notes. It was never meant as fiction. If you read the Unfinished Tales,
I have both books of Unfinished Tales.
Yeah, those are the fiction versions.
Hey, Dean, what's happening?
Which is why you have 4 creation stories for orcs.
Really, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he never 100% could really. It's like his mood change depending on how he feels. And also, you should look up one of these times how he felt about whether orcs could be redeemed or not.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons he kept changing it, because there was somebody he was writing letters back and forth with.
He was writing letters with the owner of a Christian bookstore in
because he got into
London.
a debate with the guy whether it was like ethical to like set them up that way. So he was constantly like trying to rework it.
Well, as a Catholic, you have to think that, you know,
Yeah.
Tolkien probably, gave that some serious thought, and the ultimate conclusion would be, yeah, orcs probably
In the
could.
end, he said what you just said, but he never sent the letter.
Well, there is a line.
And he wrote a note on the letter saying that as a human, how could he ever know?
Way to pass the buck, Tolkien.
But
Way to
the
pass
thing you
the
have to
buck.
understand, though, is Middle Earth is our world.
Right. Just so long ago.
Right. Just a million years ago or something. Ate too much pasta, suffering from too much success, heartburn. Well, have some Tums. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I had chilaquiles tonight, and ooh, yeah.
I ate some watermelon because I don't give a damn who you are. When it's hot out, nothing's better than nice cold watermelon.
We just picked up a watermelon today. I'm not a big fan of it, but the boys are.
Of course they are. They have good taste and they know.
Right.
When you come running in and it's 900 degrees out and there's a nice cool watermelon cut up in the fridge, that is pretty damn close to heaven, I would say.
No, I was never a huge watermelon person either.
What is wrong with you two?
It's
Is it
just,
because you're racist?
It must be. I don't really care for chicken.
Next, you're going to tell me you don't like fried chicken either.
I don't touch chicken. I kill chickens for a living. I don't eat them anymore.
Oh my God.
I just genocide them. I don't eat them.
Because I love fried chicken and I love
Work at
watermelon.
chicken Auschwitz.
Oh my goodness. The work does not set them free.
well, it does spiritually.
I mean, poor chickens. But I might eat some fried chicken tomorrow.
I had fried chicken Thursday. It was glorious. Even though I thought I burnt the crap out of it, the boys were like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Just loved it.
Now, if you burn something, you just call it Cajun.
Yep. We had fried chicken like Tuesday. And then the day that I got into the debate with my wife, I ordered her Pizza Hut again to make up. Because for some reason she really loves Pizza Hut, so I bought her Pizza Hut. And
I haven't had Pizza Hut in so long, but I used to.
like, I'm sorry. Have some Pizza Hut.
I'm thinking I might have to. I really, even after Hungar told us how the dough was made, I'm like, so I still want some Pizza Hut, deep dish, Pizza Hut crust.
How long has it been since you had Pizza Hut? Because it's very different than it was.
Really, it's been more than 10 years.
I'll tell you what, though,
It's changed
the
a lot
folded
in the last,
thing
like 10
is
15
good.
years.
The folded thing is good. They've got a new thing, and it's like a folded like thing full of pepperoni and cheese, and it costs like $7, and it's amazing.
Nothing costs $7 in California. Not
Oh,
even
I'm
candy
sorry.
bars.
I'm sorry.
I drove by the gas station today. It was $6 a gallon.
Yeah, RPG Grandma, the music Genesis thing, that's not even like super new. They talk about the choirs of angels and all that sort of stuff in a lot of extra, I would say, extra biblical Hebrew texts. They talk about the different choirs and all of that stuff. And in some of these extra biblical Hebrew texts, they even say that it was, in fact, the great accuser who sent the first discordant note into the perfect music. So, I mean,
And metal was born.
if J.R.R. Tolkien happened to read a lot of those old Jewish writings, then he may have been influenced by some of the stuff they wrote. Right.
It makes perfect sense. With as much reading as he did, it would be hard to imagine that he didn't come across
I'd
it.
be extremely surprised if he wasn't familiar with it.
Hey, RPG Grandma, you are my kind of woman. You play games, you play role-playing games, and you like fried chicken, greens, and watermelon. Tell me you like pinto beans, and I think I'll I'll propose right now. I mean, tell your husband though.
And your wife?
What's that look on Shadow's face? I'm joking. Everybody knows.
Oh
I'm
no,
joking.
yeah, I know.
But I mean, that's like the perfect woman right here. She plays role playing games and she likes all the best food.
And she's got what, like 18 black belts in Taekwondo, right?
She loves pinto beans. Oh my god, this is a woman after my own heart. I think I found a best friend.
Oh, Grandma's the best. Are you kidding?
Well, I know that. I've talked to her before. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Pinto beans, fried chicken, greens. You know how to make homemade tortillas too? Oh my god. Because tortillas are the only thing I'm allowed to eat now, really. My wife buys me these super keto friendly tortillas that don't have like very much sugar or anything in them. So everything I eat, like egg sandwiches and everything like that, it's all on these keto tortillas. I mean, I'm allowed to eat whatever I want. I'm a grown ass man. I just want to keep my toes in everything until I die.
Yep. After that, they can take them. I don't care.
Yeah, once I die, then throw me in the ground. But
Yeah, I've already willed my nose to my dog because he seems to want to eat it.
corn tortillas. You know what? I always get strange look from the waitress when we go to the Mexican restaurant and I order the fajita platter. And they like, do you want flour or corn tortillas? And I say, corn, please. And they always give me like this side eye, like, is this guy Mexican? Because I guess most white people always ask for flour tortillas.
Flour
But when I
tortillas are
roll
awesome,
in-
though.
When I roll in, I'm all like, corn tortillas, please. And they're always like, oh, okay, cool, awesome. And I always, the place we go, I always have to order some freaking fried plantain too. That's one of my favorite things, fried plantain. I shouldn't eat it because I'm sure it's just not sugar. It's just killing me. But
Right, but I thought natural fruit sugars were okay.
no sugars are okay. That's the problem.
Gotcha.
That's why eating nothing but like green spinach, pinto beans, and meat, that's awesome because there's no actual sugars in it. So your body has to convert it into sugar, which makes your body work, blah, 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 like that, right? But if you're just like eating freaking, like fruit that's full of fructose, you think fructose is awesome, right? But it's just straight up sugar.
Well, yeah. I
Yeah.
just thought that if you were going to eat sugars, especially with diabetes, that fruit sugars were the way to go.
Yeah, you're 100% right. If you sit down and decide I'm going to eat some sugar today, you're way better off eating fruit than a candy bar. Because at least
Can't
with
be
the
both?
fruit, there's some vitamins and minerals and other things in there you might like. Your body converts
Sorry to hear
everything
that,
into
Mercurius.
glycogen, and then glycogen is stored until it needs to be used by the mitochondrial, which, as we all know, is the powerhouse of the cell. And the whole point of insulin is it is the key that opens the lock in the cell wall that allows the sugar to pass into the cell and be burned. So, like, my diabetic problem isn't that I don't produce insulin. It's just that my body is not using the insulin efficiently enough. You see what I mean? I produce plenty of insulin. It's just my cells, for some reason, have decided that it just ain't doing the job anymore. So I take a couple.
We're the only ones, Bleeker.
I take a couple of meds, and all of a sudden, my body's like, "We love that insulin, woohoo!" A1C's 5.1. Shit's great. Why do ethnic restaurants always assume that white people? Because 99% of white people want flour tortillas. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Stereotypes are not stereotypes because they're a bunch of lies. They're stereotypes because a lot of times they're true. People just don't like it because a lot of stereotypes can seem very negative. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of stereotypes are absolute fact. Now, Mercurius just got diagnosed. You know, do you guys not think it's weird that all of a sudden in the last 20 years, just everybody's getting diabetes?
Oh
But
no,
that's
just a little
it
bit
was
weird.
all
carefully
the crap in
orchestrated.
the food.
You know, insulin resistant. Yep. That's what I am. Banana leaf wrapped tamales are my favorite, but I will make corn. I've never had a tamale wrapped in banana leaf. I've only ever had tamales in corn husk.
Yeah, same here.
So I wouldn't even know about a banana leaf wrapped freaking. No, you know what American food is in my mind, Cal? When I think American food, I think a big ass baked potato, a gigantic freaking ribeye steak, sizzling with a pat of butter on top of it, and then maybe some broccoli. That to
Or a
me,
salad.
or a side salad or something. That to me is American food.
19.
Oh, good night, bro. Oh, I didn't think you were complaining about stereotyping at
Okay,
all,
Dean.
homie. I wasn't yelling
We'll
at you.
see you
either.
Monday, maybe. Yeah, especially things like
All right, Dean.
ketchup, mayonnaise, salad.
Yeah, they
dressing.
actually add sugar to things that there's no business adding sugar to.
Yeah.
Like spaghetti sauce. There's absolutely no reason you should ever add sugar to spaghetti sauce. But they do. It's like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, I remember when I went to Europe, just being like really surprised by how different like stuff like ketchup and bread and stuff all tasted, just because it didn't have all that stuff in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and how everyone over there was thinner.
Actually, when I was like in England and Ireland, there was a lot of heavy people there. That's
Yeah,
starting to
in
become
Spain,
international.
the people were pretty thin. I had some friends come over from Spain and they like gained 15 pounds in a month in America. They're like, what in the hell? We're eating the same exact stuff. And then they went back home and like a couple months later, they lost all that weight. And they never dieted. They're just like, there is something in your food that makes people fat. And I was like,
Oh yeah. There are a whole
We
bunch of
know.
ingredients that are illegal overseas in food products, but not
Well, high
here.
fructose corn syrup is illegal in most of the EU. Just right off the bat.
So they're all going to outlive us by decades.
Well, not if they
They'll
get
their
nuked.
heads cut off.
I mean, if they get nuked, they will not outlive us. And I hate to tell
Because
the
they-
Europeans, but if they keep effing around and find out, we will not jump in. We'll talk a bunch of shit and rattle our saber and act like we mean some shit. But when Leon or the port over there goes up in a nuclear cloud, we'll be like, oh, shit. And that's what we'll do.
Yeah,
mark
Blake,
my
you're
words
cutting
on it.
out the soda is the first step.
Yep, I cut out all sodas. And without doing any exercise, I lost like 10 or 15 pounds. Yeah, we're eating poison food. If you don't carefully look at the label of the stuff you're putting in your gob, you are literally eating poisons that were designed to damage brains. And they did a test recently where they studied like the testicles of like 100 men, and every one of them was full of microplastics. And it's like they're trying to figure out why Western men are having these huge drops in testosterone and shit, right? Well, microplastics kill testosterone and increase estrogen.
Yeah, they do. It's the BPA.
Yeah, so they're basically, it's like, now is this part of the plan to turn all Western men into women? I don't know.
Well, they're not shy at all about saying that they want the population reduced to something like 500 million people. That's
500
right.
million.
Gates. All these guys are constantly going on about that. What they plan to do with the other 7.5 billion, they never really say.
Well, they said something about removing carbon.
Right. Well, they also said a whole bunch of other things on the Georgia Guidestones, and then those were no
Well,
more.
the joke is we are carbon-based life
Oh, I
forms.
know.
So when they joke about there's too much carbon,
We are the carbon they want to remove.
then we are the carbon they want to remove.
And I
Exactly.
look at them and I say, you first.
Yeah.
Plastic is, well, no, it can't be them because they're smart and they know more than you do.
Yeah, plus the
So they have to
pharmaceutical
listen.
industry, they want everybody as sick as possible without actually killing them.
Yeah, the only big problem I had with cutting soda is I got bad headaches, and then I just started drinking black coffee,
It's
and
the
it was the
caffeine.
caffeine.
Yeah, when you detox from caffeine, it will give you headaches. But if you push through it with some aspirin, after a week or two, you won't have to worry about it. And
Or you do what I did and
caffeine to
just
me
drink a
seems,
gallon of coffee a day.
yeah, that's how I got to the problems I was having. I was drinking a lot of coffee, a lot of sodas, and I figured out the only way to fix all that was just drink nothing but water, and that's all I drink now. And caffeine's a drug. And what does caffeine do? It makes you work harder.
It also supposedly can help prevent Alzheimer's.
Well, good luck if you're still eating, all the other stuff that gives you Alzheimer's as well. So you gotta be really, we especially us big brains in the RPG community got to uh, really work on our health if we want to stick around and beat these weirdos at their own game.
Big
We're
brain.
gonna
I learned baptism of fire by literally eating the book.
well, that's that.
I don't have a big brain. I just absorb stuff like an amoeba.
Yeah, I just put the book under my pillow before I go to bed, and that seems to work.
Just
I
absorb
should try,
it.
I should try eating the books. Then I would have more space. Because I
Right.
figured about a year and a half, I'm going to have tunnels through like walls of books, and if I remove the wrong
You're gonna
book,
look like a scene from The Wizard in the Tower, where it's like all these stacks upon stacks of tomes
either that
everywhere.
or that one episode of Hoarders where there's literally rat tunnels through everything. And I'm going to grab
my
a
God.
book, and then the whole thing is going to collapse on me, and they'll find me, a couple of weeks later, full of, bookworms and rats.
Yeah, there's nothing quite smells like a human a couple weeks later.
Yeah,
I've
I
had
intake
to
massive
do
amounts
that,
of
Paul.
caffeine because it's the only thing that helps with. I get migraines really bad. That's the only thing that really helps.
Yep. If I get a splitting headache, I go in, have myself a glass of iced coffee because I'm a big poussoir. I don't drink my coffee hot. I drink it cold. And take a nice sip of that and wait a minute, and the headache just goes away.
Yeah, I've already taken 4 aspirin today. Every time I
Yeah,
go to the damn grocery store, I come back with a freaking headache every single time.
and the other good thing about that cup of coffee in the morning is it helps with peristalsis, which is good. That means it gets your intestines moving.
Right.
Right.
And we all need that.
And it is a thing.
Yeah.
So get up in the morning, drink your glass of iced black coffee, and then 20 minutes later, go do what you need to do, and then you're ready to go, man. Take a shower. Because if there's anything worse than taking a shower and then having to poop, I don't know what it is.
Oh God. You're right on so many levels.
Like that meme, he's out of line, but he's right.
Yep. That's why I usually wait until after lunch before taking the shower. Constitutional. Exactly.
Yeah, I've been to hoarder homes trying to get like 700-pound, well, not 700, but like 500-pound people out of their hoarder homes to get them to the hospital because they're dying. And it's like, oh my goodness. This one person, we ran on their house and they had like, I would guess tens of thousands of copies of newspapers. Like not even anything like fancy, just newspapers in stacks everywhere.
Yeah,
It's like, are
newspaper
you
gets
like worried
nasty
you're going to
after a
miss a
while.
message from somebody or something? I mean, what are you? I was reading the Constitution. There you go.
Could you do both? I mean, why
You
not?
can do both. I've done some of my best reading when I was doing the other thing.
Yeah.
And then you put the book out of the bathroom and then you take the shower. And then you're completely, totally clean.
Inside and out.
out.
Exactly.
Exactly.
A Coke.
As long as it's Coke Zero.
Yep. Or Diet Cherry Coke.
Yeah, I've heard those are pretty good.
The Diet Cherry Pepsi, even though I own stock in Coke, Diet Cherry Pepsi was my go-to drink when I couldn't find Ruby Red Squirt. Oh my god!
Oh, I love Squirt. Who doesn't love grapefruit soda? I mean, come on.
Oh my god!
Oh, grapefruit. Ugh.
Grapefruit soda. Squirt is the shiznit.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you. I know it looks like dirty bath water when you pour it into a glass, but that's why you just chug it right out of the bottle and claim it as your own, and everybody says fine, not touching that, not realizing how nectar of the gods it is.
See, I buy myself or sometimes my wife picks me up kefir, but my wife will not touch it. However, my granddaughter loves it. So, yeah.
Yeah, please, folks, if I start ballooning up, have an intervention.
Ginger
you know
beer is amazing.
I'm a big fan of ginger ale, especially Verner's, but again, haven't had it. I haven't had a soda cruising up on 10 years. No soda, no juice, no milk, no coffee, just pure water. That's it.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
It's hard. Or excuse me, it was hard at first, but when I discovered that when you freeze water right to like the halfway point, so that the bottle's like half frozen, or it's even better when you get the water. It's not frozen, but then you tap the bottle and it just does this magical thing where it turns into like a slushy. Oh,
Raven says you add sugar to spaghetti sauce to cut the acidity. That is something, yes, you could do. But the other thing you could do is just cook the spaghetti sauce for like
I know. Diet sodas are probably just as bad, but
which is what my wife does. When she cooks spaghetti sauce, it cooks for like 5 or 6 hours. Couldn't even drink it. Man, ginger beer, that's what you use if you make a Moscow Mule. Ginger beer and vodka served in an ice cold frozen copper glass cup. No, you guys never had that, a Moscow Mule?
Nope.
It's good stuff, man.
Raven, why are you typing when you could just be talking? Get your ass in here. Have classes join up a bit.
I earned that in Italian, you know. Yeah, she just cooks it until the sugar goes away or the acid goes away, I guess.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the apocalypse so that we can all go back to living like we were supposed to.
Yeah,
eating each other.
Responsible for
those of us that do survive, living like the Amish, raising barns and raising cane.
Ain't that weird that the Amish live in these like ethnically homogenous societies, completely cut off from government and social media and everything, and they all seem to be just happy as hell.
Yep.
It's almost as if modernity was a mistake.
Almost.
I mean, I don't, without putting too fine of a point on it.
I love my technology, but it does, people do take this stuff to.
I think what we should do, I think the Amish have it right and wrong. What do they call it? Rumspringer or something like that? Where they
let them go out.
Yeah. We should have an exchange program. They live You know what I mean? They let their youngins out for a year, and we throw some youngins in. You know what I mean? Okay,
I
you're gonna
don't
live
think
like the
they want to
Amish for a
deal with
year.
our offspring.
And at the end of the year, we get to decide, the kid gets to decide whether they want to come back to one world or the other.
Yep, yep.
I bet you'd be surprised how many like modern children, if you chucked them into the Amish life for a year, would
Would
probably
absolutely
stay.
love it. You damn right. You
They
know,
might hate it that first couple of weeks, but after they got used to it and everything, man, they'd probably be like, "No, screw this, I'm staying. I'll
yep.
get my plain wife. We'll have 8 kids. I'll raise barns on Sundays. It'll be fine."
You
You
know,
know,
I could prove that there's something
some
to it
Amish have cell phones now. Oh yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of Mennonites.
when 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 it comes time every couple of weeks here. I have the boys go mow the lawn, and they do not bitch or complain. They're out there smiling, doing the thing because it's so different from the usual laying around watching
Mm-mm.
videos, playing video games, doing that other stuff. Um, they just they eat that stuff up. They're like, yeah, if there's any yard work to be done, maybe it's because they're Mexican. I don't know, but they just seem to just enjoy it. And
Seeing more
Jackie's mom,
stereotypes.
she thinks it's like I'm mistreating them by having them do something that they're actually enjoying. And let's face it, they're going to be men real soon, and
Yeah.
they need to go out into the big wide world and know how to do a thing or two besides just ordering from Amazon and you know
For all you guys know, their love of doing lawns could turn them into millionaires. If they start a lawn business and just start kicking ass, and the next
yep,
thing you know, they got people working for them and people working for them, and next thing you know, these guys could be owning like one of the biggest lawn services in the state.
you think so, Cal? I think I think there's some.
There's no inbreeding in the Amish community. They are 100%. They keep track of who's related to who and make sure that no one's marrying anyone. Yeah, I grew up on a farm too, Cal, and I loved it, and I'd go back tomorrow if I could. And including the 30-yard walk to the outhouse because we didn't have inside toilets. I have grown to hate modernity. No, most would hate it. I don't think so. I think you're wrong, Cal.
I think there's a
The
percentage.
women would hate it. The men would stay.
I don't know. I see those videos of those farm girls that are just doing all kinds of stuff, and they just seem happier than hell to be doing it. And during the day they're all grungy, but come dinner time they're all prettied up, and I don't know. It
Yes,
seems like
they are. They're already related. Cal, there are tens of thousands of Amish people. I don't know if you know that. All the
Yeah,
way from
they're very
Kentucky
large
all the way up to
communities.
freaking Maine. There's tons of them. If they're inbred, then everybody on the island of Puerto Rico is too. Because there's actually probably more Amish people than there are Puerto Ricans on Puerto Rico.
But as
So,
many as in New York.
right. Or New York. There's a shit ton of them in New York, man. Don't even you go into Queens, that's all there is now. All the Jewish neighborhoods are Korean neighborhoods now. It's crazy. But anyway, yeah, dude makes tons of money scooping up. There are Amish in Mexico. Yeah, those dudes are all over the place, man.
Missouri has a big Amish community, although
And
the
you
Missouri
see them
ones are
on
the
the side of the
hardcore.
road selling quilts and freaking whatever they grew. And you can get like a quilt that would cost you $1,000 in a department store for a few $100 from these people. And I mean good quilts too, the kind that'll keep you from dying in the middle of a Kentucky winter. There's been shows on that. Where did these Mennonites come from? Well, the Mennonites come from the Dutch. But I mean, now they're a little bit more open-minded, and they will allow other people to join their little groups.
Well, some of them are like the Missouri Amish are really freaking hardcore. They don't like let the kids leave. They have to like escape. It varies a great deal. from region
That's
to
like
region.
in Finnish mythology, if you wanted to marry somebody, you had to break into her house, possibly beat her dad up, and carry her off by force. Otherwise, her father would not give you permission to marry her.
Yeah, the Spartans had a weird thing, like you had to kidnap the woman you wanted to marry.
Right.
Yep.
So that it was like you were proving that you were badass enough to take care of her once you got her, you know? That whole song that everybody, Levon's Polka, I know you guys all know it because it's a meme song. The whole dun 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 dun, with the oop ba doop ba doop. The whole song is about Levon kidnapping his wife. I mean, in the Finnish lyrics are about how Levon is going to kidnap his wife. They're Amish in Belize. Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't believe every show that I see, Cal. There's been shows that say the Egyptian pyramids were made by little gray aliens. I wouldn't believe any of that. Yeah, the leak song, exactly.
What's up, George? Long time no see, man.
George Egarog, which is just George backwards. But yeah, the leak song. It's about kidnapping your wife and quite possibly beating her father's ass on the way to do it. I mean, whatever. Do what you gotta do, I guess. I mean, Finnish people are weird because they're not Slavs, and they're also not Germanic or Scandinavian. They're closer related to Mongols. I mean, by this point, they've bred in a lot with the Slavs because they were part of Russia for close to many hundreds of years. But when the communists took over Russia, Finland, which was at that time the Archduchy of Finland, declared itself an independent state, which is why the communists immediately had to attack the Finns.
Yet the tradition of the best man at the wedding was originally came from the guy you took with you who went on the raid.
When you went raiding to get your wife, yeah, your best man.
Makes sense.
I mean, I'm not
You gotta have
going
somebody
to
who's got
argue
your back.
that, but then again, I would rather be a happy, homogenous, inbred society than a society made up of tons of diversity is our strength people who all hate each other and do nothing but try to screw each other over nonstop. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you thought diversity is our strength, then why is it when you join the army, they do everything they can to make everyone look identical? Because diversity is not strength. It's a bullshit, is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on whether or not
Ape
people have a
together
common
strong.
goal and identity in addition to that.
Yeah, but it's still bullshit. Like I said, ape together strong. Right.
What does that mean?
It's from the movie Planet of the Apes when the apes are hanging out and they're like wanting to have a civil war or something, and one of the apes says ape together strong. Because he's trying to tell the rest of them stop being dicks. You know what I
Which
mean?
Planet of the Apes movie?
The new ones.
Oh, okay, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, you look at Japan, a 90-something% homogenous nation, one of the happiest countries on the planet, very low crime rate. Everyone's doing great. Their only problem is they're not having babies, but the government is starting to actually put out more and more advertisements promoting marriage and babies and stuff. So they're doing great, right?
Who?
And when anytime liberals in America point to a country in Europe and say, well, what about these countries? They're so much better than ours. To quote, what's his name? It's always a country that's whiter than America.
Yeah.
No one ever points to the Congo and says, look how awesome that place is.
Yeah, they always think these like Scandinavian countries
They
are
always
like
pick the
socialist
Scandinavian
utopias.
countries.
They're more capitalist than we are. They just have a lot of
Oh, I love that
socialist
too.
spending.
Socialism works in Scandinavia.
They
It's
have
like they're
virtually
not
no
socialist.
regulation at all.
I remember when the Swedish prime minister got on TV and said, "We are not a socialist country. We are a capitalist country. We have a free market." You know what I mean?
It's just propaganda. It's just bullshit.
They tax their citizenry the heavy because they have a lot of safety net programs, but that's way different than collectivism. Like in Sweden, the one country that has done the most in the entire world to try to put a stop to the gender thing. And guess what? 90% of nurses are women, and almost 100% of lumberjacks are men. So maybe it's just that people will do what they do because it's the way it is, and no amount of social engineering will ever change it from being that way. They're not as happy as you assume. Well, maybe they're not as unhappy as you assume, my friend. I mean, I don't know. I've only watched the one show called The Runaway Bride, where the chick like got into like an agreement with a guy to clean his house, and she was homeless. And then over the show, she ended up like falling in love with him, and vice versa. And then they end up getting married and having kids and stuff. It was a Japanese like rom-com series thing.
Hmm.
Like at first they were worried because he was like 7 or 8 or 10 years older than she was. And under communism, many will be back on collective, and nobody cares if you want to. That's true. That is
Yeah, I'm
true.
hard past that.
Yeah. The first people that will suffer under communism are all the purple-haired maniacs who are trying to promote communism.
Yeah, because they're going to be the first to be lined up against the wall.
Yeah. When the tankies come in, well, tankies is what we call them, the actual hardcore Stalinists. All of these, as they would call them, degenerates, will be shot and put in a mass grave. I mean, I don't know why furries and shit like that think the communists are going to accept them, but they
Well, because
obviously don't know
they've been
anything
told
about
that
history.
by the people who want to use them the most, and the useful
Yeah.
idiots go out and do their bidding, and then they get a bullet as a reward.
Yeah, if you're a purple-haired chick with half of your head shaved, thinking you're going to be a strong, independent woman under a Stalinist-style communist government, I got some news for you. Shit ain't going to work like that.
Never has before. Why do they think it will again? Because
They're dumb.
they're drinking the Kool-Aid and believing the lies.
Yep, they're dumb.
They should be forcing kids to read Solzhenitsyn in
They'll end up working in a salt mine until they die.
The thing is
That
that's
was
like
a
the most
punishment under
captured-
Stalin.
Teachers are the most captured profession in this country. That was the first place they went.
Oh, the communists will purge a lot of people, but the really hardcore progressives will be the first. And then they'll go after maybe the hardcore conservatives, but the people who are kind of in the middle, they'll leave them alone.
Yep, because they'll see what's going on either side and have to make the hard decisions. And they don't need as many people as we have to make things work.
Right.
That's the whole goal.
Leave the guys in the middle because they're the ones that are the least likely to do a counter revolution. So anyone you trained to do the revolution, you have to kill once the revolution is successful because they know how to do revolutions. So you got to kill the counter revolutionaries. And then if you're a tanky, which they would be, all of the degenerates get whacked. That's why there's no such thing as leftist unity. The tankies hate the far left liberals. They hate them because tankies are far left, but not liberal. They're totalitarian. So again, Stalinists.
Yeah, and like the Antifa and Black Lives Matter, what they don't, it's like all the big socialist revolutions.
They're cannon fodder.
They have their thugs, and as soon as they're in power, they kill
They
the
get
thugs.
rid of them. Hey, I'll never forget watching TV and seeing the tankies marching, and they had the sign, and the sign said "Liberals get the bullet too." And I just laughed. I was like, "Yep, they're just telling you right out front now. They ain't even hiding it. All of you pro this that people thinking communism's going to be the answer to your problems, and it will be, just not the answer you wanted.
But your problems will be over.
But your problems will be over. Yeah. Well, actually, they won't, but we won't get into that. That's too deep of a subject.
That's true.
And I think that's actually at the heart of a lot of it. Think a lot of these people don't actually want anything better. I think they just want to destroy shit because they just want everything to be over.
Yeah, well, some people just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a great movie, by the way. It's too bad.
Batman?
That's a quote from Batman, yeah.
It was pretty good. I really did. At first Heath Ledger's Joker was kind of, creepy, but then the more I watched it, I'm like, yeah, it really is supposed to be like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cesar Romero's version, we all grew up with, even with the mustache, if you got the close-ups and you can see just put white makeup over his mustache.
All right.
Was so clean, and sterile and clownish without actually being the psycho clown that he was meant to be.
Well, because Cesar Romero told him to pound sand on that mustache painting or shaving bullshit.
Yep.
He's like, you can find someone else, but the man does not shave his mustache.
He was so good, though. I mean, for the time, etc. You still, if you're gonna, aspire to play the Joker someday, you got to start with him.
Yeah, I agree.
No, who I didn't like as the Joker. He's a great actor, but I didn't think it worked. Was Jack Nicholson? I just didn't buy it.
I don't like him as an actor. I don't like him as a person, and I really didn't like him as the Joker. He was, he was the Joker from a different world, but not any of the worlds that, I wanted to continue reading Batman stories of, except for Michael Keaton's portrayal of Bruce Wayne. I think is hands down the best Bruce Wayne.
It's pretty damn good. He's a pretty damn good Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to argue that. He was a damn good Bruce Wayne. And I don't even like superhero
Let's get
movies.
nuts. That was
Mr.
just...
Batman.
Yep. I don't even like superhero movies, except for Deadpool.
What about The Watchmen?
Okay, but are they superheroes? I guess they are.
Technically,
only two of them have any powers.
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan and freaking Ozymandias. None of the rest of them got any powers. They're just schmucks running around doing shit. I guess you could say that Rorschach has the power of insanity.
Right.
He's freaking crazy.
Even his mask was explained as a technological device, a product of the Veidt Corporation, blah, blah, blah.
Right. It had been designed by Dr. Manhattan and produced by the Veidt Corporation. And he was a tailor who had made a wedding dress for a woman. But then the woman got stabbed to death in the streets. No one helped her. So then he cut the dress up and he made the mask.
It's funny. That's Rorschach's actually Jackie's favorite character.
Well, Rorschach is like the Batman without the technology.
Right. Whereas
Night Owl is Batman's technology.
Yes.
And then Ozymandias is superhuman because he's the smartest man on earth. So he made a bunch of shit to make himself
and the fastest.
Right. Because he genetically altered himself to be a superhuman.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you had the comedian who really wasn't superhuman, but he was basically max human.
Mm-hmm.
He was my favorite character.
Mine was Ozymandias.
Ozymandias, really? He was a cool character. I mean, he was a complicated character, but for me, it was always the comedian. For the same reasons, though. He was such a complicated character.
Right, especially as you get toward the end and you learn, when he's at a Moloch. I think was his name Moloch.
Yeah, his
It's
villain
like
name was Moloch. His real name was like Theodore Krantz or something.
when he's at the bed, talking about
Crying,
yeah. It's like
"Mother, forgive me for everything I've done," which is a very orthodox thing to say. Not saying he's orthodox, but "Mother, forgive me" is a very orthodox thing to say.
the movie is just so good. Just
When he gets older and he starts thinking about all the shit he's done for the government, and he's just like, "Oh my god!"
or not just for the government. I mean, that scene in Vietnam with his pregnant girlfriend, just like holy smokes.
But the point of that was because Dr. Manhattan's all like, "You just shot the mother of your child," and he said, "And you just stood there and watched."
Yep.
Because the reason the comedian had been sent with Dr. Manhattan was to watch him.
Yep.
That was his whole job, to watch Dr. Manhattan. Yeah. That's the best line when the comedian shoots that guy in the back with the grenade launcher. And Night Owl's like, "What about the American dream, man?" And the comedian's like, "The American dream came true."
You're
That's
looking
what
at it.
happened. It came true. Yeah. Who watches the Watchmen? He jumps
Yes,
out of the thing
Baker.
and like Nighthawk's all like,
Exactly. The movie had so many great lines. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. I mean, come on. Oh, that's just so. How many times have you wanted to say
when he
that?
found the doctor and he's like, "Where's my face?" It's like, uh-oh. And then he goes into the bathroom and murders the midget. It's like, okay. But to be fair, that little Joker deserved it. He'd been up to no good, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, yeah, Night Owl's like, "How about we try this without any violence?" And you just see the freaking comedian jump out of the freaking thing and boom. And it's like, yeah, shit's getting ready to go down. And that, "Fuck you, pig," and just whack. And he just starts unloading on him with a shotgun.
With Alan Moore, though. Every time Alan Moore, the guy who wrote.
The wizard that conjured that shit up, because he does think he's a wizard. He's like into Thelema and all that shit. Aleister Crowley stuff.
All I can think of is one. I remember when the comic book came out because I was working in a comic book store, and I would have given my eye teeth to be able to get a copy. And working at a store, I couldn't even get a copy of it when it first came out. It was the hottest, most anticipated comic book of the year.
I have to go look in my comic book thing because I'm pretty sure I have all of them.
I will get them one day. But I've got the graphic novel right here. And
but if I were to go out and find that I had all of them and they're worth a lot of money, I would sell them.
I would give you a good price.
Because I don't really care.
I
have the trade paperback and I can watch the movie.
I gotta find a copy of the director's cut, because if there's stuff that I have not seen, it literally is my favorite movie of all time. And
really?
Yes. And from the very beginning, the music, etc. I told Jackie, he's like, you heard about the big blue dick and everything, right? He's like, I don't want to watch it. I'm like, look, I'm your dad. Do me a favor. Just sit 15 minutes. If after 15 minutes you don't want to watch it, I'll never bring it up again. He said, okay, fine. I put it in, and he's just like glued, just like never seen anything like, what you're seeing. The first, the beginning song, and then everything, and he's just like looked at the watch, like he's here for the duration. Didn't complain, made a couple of jokes about the big blue wiener. Who's not gonna? That's just retarded.
Why it's there.
There was a reason for it, though.
Absolutely.
Which there was.
Yes, he had completely lost all his humanity, thought he was so.
It was to show he had lost all of, exactly. Because in the beginning, he at least wore a suit.
Yeah.
And then it just kept getting less and less until he's just walking around with his wang flinging, and
right,
which is why the comedian was watching his ass.
The soundtrack alone is one of the best.
Yeah, it was a great soundtrack. I'll give you that.
and everything else just builds and builds and builds. And most of us remember what it was like growing up in the 80s and how we lived under the threat of the bomb. And, for me, especially with my dad, teaching me the things he taught me and, having to do the duck and cover drills and all that, literally thinking any minute, it could just all be over because, two dumbasses pushed the red button at the same time, or more or less the same time. What Veidt had pushed himself to do to prevent that was just so mind blowing as I read it the first time and every time I watched it to be willing to do something like that because you're so convinced that if you don't trick the whole world is just gonna be gone.
Blow itself up.
Yep.
And the problem is Rorschach's diary did get into the box.
Yeah.
So it could have all been for nothing.
Yes. It is one of the classic twists on The Lady or the Tiger, or the what's in the briefcase from Pulp Fiction. That's up to you. You watch the movie and at the end you get to decide. Does the lie continue?
In the box? Oh wait, we knew what was in the box, didn't we?
Yeah, it was the Holy Grail.
No, I'm talking
yeah, the other box.
7.
Yes.
What's in the box, man?
Another great movie. And it sucks too because I have to admit, knowing what I know about what's his name? God, his name just slipped out of my mind. The freak, Kevin Spacey. Knowing what I know about him, his performances have still been kind of amazing, but because he's a scumbag, I had to toss all his movies as well.
It's like the Bill Burr skit on Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Where Bill Burr says Arnold Schwarzenegger bangs a maid, gets caught, and everybody starts acting like he's a piece of shit as if everything he did prior to that point no longer matters.
Well, actually, for me,
like he's not awesome anymore because he got caught banging an ugly Mexican maid.
Have you ever seen Pumping Iron?
Are you talking about the part where he's talking about I lift the weights, it feels better than coming?
Yes.
Yeah, that fucking maniac.
Yeah, when I heard that, I'm like, oh, okay, now I can push my hatred of him all the way back to the beginning and go, yes, I thoroughly hate him. When he said, screw your freedom, he became
but that doesn't change the fact that Conan the Barbarian is one of the best movies ever.
Well, you know how I feel about that movie, and we're still friends.
Well, what is your take on that? Because I'm incredibly ambivalent.
My take on what? Really, Conan the Barbarian? Yeah, it's an awesome movie.
It as a movie. I hate it because it's so not Conan.
Thank you.
It's
if it had any other name, if it literally had any other name on it, I would have nothing to say.
Okay. In my defense, I was 9 when I saw it, and I didn't get to hear any of the actual anyone speaking because I lied to my mom and said that I was sleepy and I wanted to go to bed, and she let me crawl in the back of our giant ass station wagon where I had blankets and a thing. And while they were watching Smokey and the Bandit for, I swear to God, the 15th time, I was in the back of the station wagon watching Conan, the silent version. Right?
That's fair. No,
so
that's got to be a
fact that I have that nostalgia.
Yes,
it makes me love the movie. Plus, name anybody who had a better teammate than the Conan from that movie. Subutai was the best. That dude ran halfway across the world and a desert to pull his dumb ass off a tree.
Yeah, right? But that's probably what it was. Oh, absolutely. There's nothing that can take away.
And then, of course, you got Mako in it. I'll summon a demon more mighty than all in hell. And they just laugh at each other. Conan just laughs at him. They start laughing, and Mako's just like, come by the fire, have some wine. Was it the actual novels? No. But was it a great adventure movie? Yeah.
Right. That's what I was saying. If you were to retroactively change the name, I would never be able to say anything. But because I had read Robert E. Howard's Conan's before I saw the movie,
Ah,
and I grew up reading Savage Sword of Conan, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, Conan's got black hair and blue eyes,
he's
and
got
this
black
Arnold
hair
guy,
and blue eyes
and
and
this
a tan
Arnold guy's got
skin.
brown hair. They couldn't even shell out $5
And
for a
that was a
bottle of hair
wig.
dye.
That was a wig.
They couldn't get the black one.
That's what I'm saying. You know, it's like,
Come on, guys. I mean, every intro in every chapter
and
or
the
every story.
Hyrcanian is a dude from Hawaii, and he's like a Filipino. His name was like something Lopez.
Every opening chapter of
It was like,
every Conan story goes in, from head to toe what he looks like, and I'm like, yeah, black hair, blue eyes, big muscle guy. Okay,
Yeah,
But
that's how
who's
they
this schmo?
introduce him in every story. They just describe him, and you know it's him. It's 'cause
Right.
well,
it's
yeah,
always
we
said
saw
that
the one guy on Double
everyone
D
else's
when he's
perspective.
talking about him.
He shows up.
He's bronzed and oily, and all the women want him.
And to this date, they have yet to actually make Conan look like Conan. What's so hard about that? You know what I
There's
mean?
probably not 2% of the population that could do it.
You get some hair dye and you get a big, you get the bodybuilder who can act. And okay, you got blue eyes? No. Okay, here's some contacts. Get you a black Prince Valiant wig, and we're good to go, right?
It would seem that easy, but apparently it is not, my good man.
I know.
And the other thing that really bothers me about the movie is he's not a barbarian. He's totally a product of civilization in that movie. He's a
Oh my
slave
God.
kid. He's
Doc,
trained
you're
in the
overthinking
dojo.
it.
Well, I'm a Conan guy. I'm sorry.
You're overthinking it. Don't tell me you don't get a special feeling in your pants when you hear that kettle drum and you hear Mako.
Aside
Between
from
the
it,
times when the
being
ocean
from a
drank
Conan movie,
Atlantis
I love it.
and the
You
rise
see,
of
I
the
That is a good
sons of
intro.
Argus.
Just remake the movie and just dub out every time they say Conan and call him Bob.
Oh
I
no.
would be happy.
From I never prayed to you. I haven't the tongue for it. I know that you respect valor. Right? Hell yeah, that shit was awesome.
Well, you're not supposed to pray to Crumb. Crumb thinks
Yeah,
you're a
Crumb
bitch
don't
if you
care.
pray. you don't wanna
But
listen
he
to
does
your
respect valor. And he said, and all that matters that two men stood against many.
Well,
You
in this
know.
one of the stories, I can't remember which one. It was the only time Crumb ever intervened on behalf of a mortal. He saves Conan because he's going to be assassinated. And he's like, this guy deserves
They're
a better
not
death.
reading the story, they're reimagining it. Well, it was made by what's his name? Something very Greek.
De Laurentiis?
Alopoulos or whatever. Yeah, De Laurentiis. And that dude had a deal with getting the IP rights to make movies for like different books and just throwing the books to the freaking winds and doing whatever the hell he wanted.
Well, also with both the movies, the scripts were radically altered from the initial writings, and supposedly, like the original Oliver Stone script was very much a Conan story, as was the Conan the Destroyer, which Frank said the guy who did Savage Sword.
Which the Conan the Destroyer, they did feature the one the wizard that could turn into the ape, but they didn't do it right. But that guy was in a book.
Yeah, that was his close to his main enemy as he had.
Did
Right.
any of you see the Kevin Sorbo Cull?
I did.
No, I've heard it was horrible.
Yeah,
I didn't
wanna
care
see
for the
it.
remake because the story was just bad.
Which remake?
The remake of Conan.
With
Yeah,
who?
just it was just terrible. And it wasn't even that the guy playing Conan was terrible. It was just everything was terrible. Everything else
the
was
Jason
terrible.
Momoa one.
Yeah.
that's him.
Yes,
Everything
yeah,
else, at least he had blue eyes though, so you can be happy there. Freaking
right, but
Shadow.
Conan never had dreadlocks, and I hate
Jason Momoa don't have dreadlocks in that movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't like Jason Momoa. There's nothing he's ever been in except maybe a coffin that I'll approve of.
There was a thing set like prior to America where he plays a frontiersman that was pretty badass.
He might have some talent. I hated him in Stargate. Oh God, I hated him so
They're
much.
making a remake of Time Bandits. Why would you do that? And it's not using midgets because that's offensive.
Then it's not Time Bandits.
You know what? To quote Dr. Farnsworth, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
See, Raven, I'm not the only one.
Oh wait, that's
Yeah. Coal was thousands of years before the Hyborian Age when Atlantis sunk and blah, blah, blah. And the Hyborian Age is like 10 to 20,000 years before the modern age. Because if you look at the map of the Hyborian Age, if you were to drop the Mediterranean Ocean right in there between Ophir and Zingara and Egypt, but they called it something else,
Stygia.
then it all makes sense. You know what I mean? And then you sink Doggerland, which is Samaria, and all you have left up there is Azarland and Nordland and whatever, and that's Scandinavia.
British Isles.
Right. I mean, it is Europe. It's just a different Europe from like before a massive flood jacks everything up. So is Cole Conan's he's a distant ancestor.
Cole.
Cole,
King
the
Cole
king,
or
is
Cole?
a distant ancestor of Conan's people. Yes. Black Lotus, Stygian in the best. Yeah. Chew slowly. This is the good stuff. I mean, and then you get to see Max Sydow up there.
The deadly one. Black Lotus is the deadly one.
You know, Max Sydow. The
He
Lions.
was God, what a great actor.
Right?
He's amazing in everything.
The Lions ate him.
Even in
Rex
the movie that
himself
everybody
will come
hates,
in front of me, the king.
even
and
in Judge
threaten
Dredd,
me.
he was awesome.
Oh yeah, he's good in everything. He gives
like
that
Michael
speech.
Caine was like that. He'd be awesome in horrible movies.
Just be like, there comes a time when the gold loses its glimmer and the gemstones lose their luster, and the only thing that is left is a father's love for his child. And it's just like, oh, you kind of feel for him a little bit, you know? He's like, I'll give you all these gemstones. Just go get my daughter back from that crazy undead wizard, whatever the hell he is. Would I sell Haga to a slayer such as thee? Yeah, exactly. This better not be Haga, old man. Yeah, Black Lotus in small doses will not kill you because wizards smoke it. It helps them enter into a astral state.
I thought that was the purple lotus that they used.
Okay, I don't know. Now you've challenged me, and I'm just going back down rather than fight about
I'm
it.
pretty sure the purple lotus is the.
I know the yellow lotus makes you lose your memory. Like if you eat the essence of the yellow lotus, you lose your memory.
Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Now, I know he's right that Black Lotus can made into a poison. I know that's a fact. But I thought a lot of the wizards were also like super into.
I have here the GURP source book, and it has a whole section on the lotus.
I don't give a shit about GURPS. I've got the freaking.
I don't play GURPS, but the world books are
universally that is like
researched.
Exactly. I'm trying to get the Horse Clans GURPS book. I don't own any GURPS books, but you know I love the Horse Clans. And George, any game that doesn't say Conan on it should work just fine. It's really about being in love with the world of Conan and putting your heart and soul into it and being enthusiastic.
Yeah, right here it says that the scent of the Black Lotus often brings madness and dreams that trouble all but the blackest of souls. The juice of the Black Lotus is death, an instant plunge into darkness from which one can never recover. It is rumored that the sorcerers of the Black Ring use Black Lotus to recover their necromantic powers. Few know the secrets of the alchemy involved, and there are few who
And
dare
Magic
to
the Gathering.
experiment. No, I'm not that. I wish I had that Black Lotus. Get the hell out of here. Those things are worth like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the Black Lotus, as long as you only get the fumes, it's not lethal, but it's
I just told you
poisonous.
everything about it. Were you not listening?
Oh no, I was looking this up. And then
The
there's
Wizards
Pink
of the Black
Lotus.
Circle use a potion made from Black Lotus to regain their necromantic powers. But only they know how to do it, and no one else is likely to do too much experimenting with that shit.
Yeah. The Purple Lotus is the one people use to get high, though.
Oh. So you're just tearing the movie apart, just picking the movie apart.
That's my job.
Oh
That's
my
my job.
goodness, Doc. I still love it. Now, my favorite movie of all time is probably Casablanca.
Really?
Well, I am a man of culture and breeding.
I saw it. You know, I saw it a bunch as a kid, and I couldn't put it all together. And we watched it over on Connell's show, and I was like, man, this Rick guy is an asshole.
He was.
You know,
Until the very end, when he finally made the great sacrifice for love. And then decided to stop being a dick and actually do something about shit in his life. That's the whole deal. Casablanca is the great redemption story.
And Victor Laszlo was the actual hero till the end.
Victor Laszlo was the hero. Rick was the douchebag.
Yep.
What's his name? Remy? You never did tell us why you arrived in Casablanca. The romantic in me likes to think you killed a man. You know, or maybe you absconded with the church funds.
And
Right?
don't get me wrong, I was a huge Bogart fan as a kid till I saw my first Chuck Heston movie, and then I was like, no, okay.
They now have a series with Rick after World War II. Well, I do know that Remy. Was it Remy? Was that the detective's name? Who was also a douchebag, since he was making young, beautiful women have sex with him in order to get him to sign off on their passages.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of his thing, which in the modern day would just be considered straight up struggle cuddling.
Yep.
The
Weinstein effect.
Yeah. But yeah, they decide there's a French Foreign Legion, a Free French fort not that far away, and they go there. And that's the end, you know, and that's when I believe this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because they're going to go fight for the Free French against whatever the Vichy French and the Germans. So he's finally going to be a hero again. So yeah, great
Bogart
movie.
was really good in so many movies, especially
Maltese Falcon.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I knew we both. As soon as you said especially in, I was like Maltese Falcon. Yeah, that was a good one.
Even was it The Bounty or Mutiny on the Bounty, whichever one, where he played the.
You ever notice he worked with the same guys a lot too? It would be Humphrey Bogart, and then it would almost always be Peter Lorre.
Yep.
It was like those two must have been bros or something, because they were in a lot of movies together.
Well, I mean, when you're a guy like that, you always got to have that sidekicky guy with you, you know, who can get shit done.
Yeah. Help me, Rick. Help me.
No,
I
that
stick
was
my neck
Brando
out
who was
for
at
nobody.
Mutiny on the Bounty. That was Marlon Brando.
That's what he
Unless
said.
there was one before that.
Yeah, the one with the strawberry ice cream, where he's
that's the Cane Mutiny.
The Cane Mutiny. Okay, I knew there was a mutiny in the title. Yeah, even that movie was just like, my God, what an.
Yeah, he was
the real life Mutiny on the Bounty, Captain Bligh and the couple of loyalists in a longboat did manage to navigate by starlight, the stars, like halfway across the world. That dude was actually amazing.
Yeah, he was actually a big hero in England when they first
Yeah, he
got
was the
back.
hero of the
Up
film.
until some of the guys were captured and the stories started coming out, then his reputation was
Yeah, they
damaged very
hung them
badly.
all the mutineers were hanged from the yardarm, just like he promised they would be. And really, what it boiled down to is they didn't want to continue on with their mission. They wanted to stay in Fiji and bang all the hot native chicks. And
Can you blame them?
well, yes, because you're in the Navy, kid. Sorry, you had your shore leave. You ate coconuts. You banged hot native chicks. Get back on the boat with your syphilis. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, and you were in the Navy in the 18th century, so double sucks to be you.
So double sucks to be you because you probably didn't join the Navy. You probably passed out in a bar and just woke up on a
In the
ship.
Navy.
And then you were in the Navy, and it was like, well, this sucks. Great movie. Haven't seen it since I was a kid. Yep, it is.
A lot of them. He's saying, they really just don't make them like that anymore.
No, because the last, I think Gen X was the last generation that had imagination, because we were the last generation that ran around the woods with sticks, like beating the shit out of each other and stuff, and imagining things.
Oh, check out Raven Camp. That's what they called Egypt.
Yep, Kimmy or Kemet, sometimes too. They never called it Egypt. They didn't. That was something the Romans called it, Egyptus. But or was it the Greeks? It doesn't matter. Yeah, press ganged for sure, right? Pass out in the pub. Like next thing you know, you're on a British frigate halfway around the world, duking it out with the French.
And a lot of times they never let those guys off the ship, even when they're in port, because they would just bolt.
Right.
Wouldn't you? I
A
mean,
lot of
you've
those
been
guys
kidnapped.
spent
You know.
years and years on those ship without.
But
ever
it was
setting foot
like
down.
when we were kids, we imagined everything.
Yes.
And we thought about everything, and we ran around and we played games. And
When our bicycle was our best friend,
oh God, I must have put 20 miles a day on my bike. I'm not
Yep.
even joking. I would go from one end just everywhere.
The
that's
stuff I
part
did
of
on my bike, it's amazing. I
Back
survived
when
doing
your
it.
cell phone your cell phone. Back when your telephone was nailed to the wall and there was no answering
and
phone.
your internet was a transistor radio.
There was no internet. So
I remember my
basically,
first
you went
transmitter.
outside, you met some kids you could be friends with or at least tolerate, and you played games that you made up rules for, or got into big brawls and fistfights. But either way,
or had rock wars,
or threw rocks at each other, or whatever you did. And since then, every generation has been soft, glued to a screen. They have no imagination. Look at 5e. 5e players have no imagination. They stand around waiting for the DM to tell them what's going to happen. That's all they do.
Yep.
And that's why you end up with Strixhaven and Citadel of the bullshit. I've got a mission for you. I need curry leaves. The only problem is I angered the guy who sells curry leaves. So please go get me the curry leaves because I want to make curry. Look how ethnic I am. As if curry isn't the number one most eaten food in London right now. It's like, get out of here.
I was thinking.
And then they brag, this book was made without any white people. Can you imagine if they put a D&D book out and said, this book was made without any non-white people at all? People would be out in the street screaming and shitting themselves.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Of course, I'm pretty sure Baptism of Fire was made completely by just a bunch of white people. So there you go. But wait, Slavs are considered people of color. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
I was thinking, guys. I had Jackie ride his bike to school every year. He still does it now. He's one of the few. He was the only kid K through 8th grade that rode a bike to school. And you guys have met him, and that's got to be, some part of the equation that put him a step above the rest. And now he's in high school, and there's a few more kids riding their bike, but just the freedom that we had as kids to go out and do whatever till the streetlights came on or later, depending on, your particular situation. Jumping off curbs, jumping over trash cans, being able to just throw your bike down and go run around for a while, and you come back and your bike was still there.
Lighting homeless people on fire. Oh wait, no.
There was a
I'm
bit about it.
joking.
Of
That's
course.
a
Guys, I gotta get off of here. Actually, it's like midnight, and I'm going to try and
Yeah, I
take
should
my
go too.
Yeah, you know what? We've been doing this
meds and sleep.
Yeah,
about
we've done
2.5
that.
hours. I think it's a fair point to call it a night and let you guys all get to do your stuff and get ready for tomorrow. We've all got a nice 3-day weekend to enjoy. Thanks everybody for showing up and playing along. This was a
Always
lot
a
of fun.
pleasure. Always.
Absolutely. And the guys, our regulars who couldn't make it, I hope you guys are up to your eyeballs in festivities, or at
They
least
probably avoided the show because you had me on it.
Oh no, I'm certain that's not it at all.
Yeah, you're certain. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's Justin. He probably actually got some sleep, and thank God for that, because I can't imagine what that's like. Oh wait, no, I can. Um, but yeah, guys, this was a lot of fun. Very very informative. I hope everybody who comes and watches this after the fact, which so many of you weirdos do, I really that just blows my mind when I come back, later and find out that 50 more people have watched one of these crazy silly shows when they could have been watching or doing anything else. I'm so grateful that you guys do that. And
I just want to sing to them. I want to be like, trust in me. Oh, trust in me and only me. Yeah. Some of you will remember that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Doc.
The big
James.
serpent what was his name? Ka? And he's trying to eat Mowgli, and he was singing, "Trust in me." Oh yeah.
Good times. Good times.
Good times. Thank you.
Bless you guys. I will see you tomorrow or Monday or whatever. James, pleasant dreams. Doc, thanks for showing up. Everybody else, have a wonderful weekend. We love you guys, and I will see you maybe tomorrow. Otherwise, Monday for sure. Happy trails.